For over 30 years, Somaliland has existed in the shadows of world diplomacy. It built its own government, its own elections, and its own security. But the world refused to recognize it, now that wall has cracked. Israel has officially recognized Somaliland, and that single move has triggered a political storm across the Horn of Africa. Somalia is furious. The African Union is under pressure. And the biggest question now is this: will the AU be able to stop Somaliland from gaining more recognition, or is this the start of a new diplomatic era? This is Inside Horn, a channel dedicated to facts, clarity, and reliable analysis. No rumors, no propaganda, no misinformation. Only the truth, so you can understand the Horn of Africa clearly and without bias. Somaliland has operated like a separate political entity since 1991. It has maintained its own administration, held elections, and built security institutions, yet it has remained outside the international system. Israel's recognition changes that dynamic. This is the first time a United Nations member state has formally recognized Somaliland, and it establishes full diplomatic relations between Israel and Hargeisa. The move immediately reshapes the political conversation in the Horn of Africa. Somalia condemns it, calling it an unlawful action that violates its sovereignty. Mogadishu insists that Somaliland remains part of Somalia and warns that recognition threatens regional stability. The African Union, which has long emphasized maintaining existing borders, has also expressed concern. Israel's decision was not symbolic. Somaliland sits in one of the most strategically important locations in the world, near the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, which are major corridors for global trade and shipping. Israel has openly described its recognition as a move tied to security, strategic access, and long-term partnerships in the region. For Somaliland, this recognition is a breakthrough. It does not guarantee worldwide acceptance, but, it gives the territory a diplomatic foothold it never had before. Somaliland can now pursue embassies, economic agreements, and international partnerships with legitimacy. It can also demonstrate that recognition is possible after decades of isolation. The key question now is whether this becomes a domino effect. If Israel is the only country to recognize Somaliland, Somalia and the African Union can contain the impact. They can issue statements, rally international support, and discourage other countries from following. But if other major states decide to recognize Somaliland, well, the situation changes dramatically. Global powers are watching closely, and, the United States has interests in Red Sea security and those vital maritime trade routes. European states, on the other hand, have investments and long-term partnerships in East Africa. Other regional and international actors are weighing how Israel's recognition affects their position and access. Recognition, is not just a legal question. It's a decision with immediate political and strategic consequences. Somalia is now mobilizing diplomatic support. It seeks backing from the African Union and other international partners to uphold its territorial claims. The African Union is likely to respond with strong public statements condemning the recognition, aiming to prevent a precedent that could encourage other separatist movements across Africa. Yet, the African Union faces a clear limitation. It cannot reverse Israel's recognition or force Somaliland to reintegrate under Mogadishu. Its power really lies in diplomatic containment, isolating Somaliland, discouraging other countries from recognizing it, and supporting Somalia's claims on the international stage. So, Israel's recognition gives Somaliland some real momentum, but at the same time, Somalia and the African Union are going to try to block any further recognition. Honestly, how all this plays out will depend on whether other countries view Somaliland as a stable and strategically important partner, or if they see it as a potential source of regional tension. The Horn of Africa has now entered a new phase. Somaliland's internal stability is clear. Israel's recognition proves the world is starting to notice. Somalia and the African Union are working to slow the process. Global powers are carefully calculating their next moves. And, the next few months could determine whether Somaliland's status evolves from an unrecognized region to a recognized state with international legitimacy. Recognition by Israel is not just a headline. It is a signal that the political landscape of the Horn of Africa is changing, and that Somaliland's long-standing push for legitimacy is finally gaining international attention. Israel's recognition makes Somaliland the first territory in the region to achieve formal diplomatic ties with a United Nations member state. This historic step has already drawn reactions from around the world. Somalia condemned the recognition, calling it a violation of its sovereignty. The African Union expressed concern, emphasizing the importance of maintaining established borders in Africa. Meanwhile, media outlets such as BBC, CNN, and Al Jazeera have highlighted the significance of this diplomatic breakthrough. Despite opposition from Somalia and caution from the African Union, Somaliland now has official relations with Israel, giving it a presence on the international stage that it has never had before. While no other country has yet followed Israel's lead, this recognition marks a clear first step toward formal international acknowledgement.